Hello, everybody, and welcome to Technology Today for March 30th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 13. If you can't tell, I'm a little under the weather, but that's okay. We'll get through this. I am Merwad. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we talk about 5 articles during the Technology Today show. Eventually, it all gets merged together into Non Sequitur News Sunday edition. There were 3 other shows, entirely different shows on Saturday, and then Monday through Friday we do another set of 5 shows called Non Sequitur News. Dun, dun, dun. Monday through Friday. Anyway, go over to ohmtown.com and subscribe and follow us on YouTube. That's where we stream as well as here on Twitch. I look at the chat for both, so come and interact, hang out. That said, we're going to be talking about mapping the human mitochondria, wiggly bird skulls, the process of chromosomes, chaos and crosswalks, and ghost frog found. This is like a Call of Duty ghost frog. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, ohmtown citizens.
And if you are really curious, you can actually, when you first go over to ohmtown.com, if this bar doesn't pop down, it should. You can just mash that button. It'll take you over to YouTube and subscribe you if you're logged in to ohmtown.com over on YouTube, not to our website. But anyway, you ready to get into the show?
Yeah, I am.
I'm a little wrecked, but anyway. Normally, what we do is we introduce you to ohmtown.com. It's where the main news is all aggregated, but it gets funneled into one of 50 categories. It is now one of. The system determines which one it should be aggregated into and puts the information there. It doesn't put it in multiple places anymore, and we're trying to minimize the duplicates that might actually appear, even historically, getting rid of them. Well, anyway. This first article that we're about to talk about. Wow. That song was really aggressive there.
Yeah, it was.
So first map of human brain mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
That's right.
Is groundbreaking achievement, according to this article. Did you read up ahead or did you not?
No, I haven't. It just caught my attention because it's a pretty key component of the human body.
It is. Are you feeling run down? Perhaps your mitochondria are at the cellular level, just dragging their damn feet. I feel like mine
Exactly.
are sandbagging sometimes. Yeah. So Nora Bradford over at nature.com put this article together. Hundreds of cubes of human brain tissue help scientists to chart the energy-making capabilities of various brain regions. And I never, ever want to hear the phrase, cubes of human brain tissue.
Exactly.
But here you are. So the results show that mitochondria, which generate the energy that powers cells. Why didn't they just stick to the
powerhouse of the cell?
The powerhouse of the cell. Differ in type and density in different parts of the brain. For example, the evolutionary oldest brain regions have a lower density of mitochondria than newer regions. How do they know that a particular region is older?
I do not know.
Is it because they think that just because some other evolved state of human, right? Like they don't have the old brains of previous evolutions of humans.
No, I mean, I don't know how they figured this out. I'm assuming they've studied skulls, maybe not brains, of previous species. I don't know where they're going with this.
It's so weird. I don't quite get it. But, well, that's why they're, scientists, and I am the mayor of a fictional town on the internet. Well, the map, which studies authors the map, which the study's authors call the Mito Brain Map, is both technically impressive and conceptually groundbreaking, says Valentin Riedel, a neurobiologist at Friedrich Alexander University in Erlangen, Germany, who was not involved in the project. So I guess they have different densities of the energy producing organelles called mitochondria. This isn't a link. So if I click on it, it doesn't take me anywhere. So I don't know what the regions are in terms of density. So
I'm assuming the darker sections maybe are more dense, but I don't know.
Redder or denser. Interesting. It's my medulla oblongata. Sorry. So anyway, wielding a tool typically used for woodworking, the study's authors divided a slice of frozen human brain from a 54-year-old donor who died of a heart attack into 703 tiny cubes. Each cube measured 3 by 3 by 3 millimeters, which is comparable to the size of the units that make up a standard 3D image of the brain. The most challenging part was having so many samples. So the team used biochemical and molecular techniques to determine the density of mitochondria in each of the 703 samples. And in some samples, the researchers also estimated the mitochondria's efficiency at producing energy. I won't be able to read all of it because I'm not logged in. That sucks. I don't think that I can remedy that. Hold on. Let me try and see if I can log in without...
To reiterate this again, we don't normally see brain cube data.
Yeah. Let me see if maybe I'll be able to without... No, I can't. I end up doxing myself, which I'm not in the mood to do. Not today. Well, anyway, so yeah, they basically made a map of the human brain, its density, and apparently its efficiency based on a sample of this particular person's brain. I find it absolutely fascinating, but it made me ask questions like, how do they know that a brain is old or young region there, bub?
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, if it wasn't evolutionarily old, I thought, well, maybe they can tell when the tissue or something has regenerated, but it seemed like it was talking across humans, not within one.
Well, brains don't regenerate.
I know. I was trying to make sense of the statement. But
right. Yeah. Okay. So it just says the feat could help unravel age-related brain disorders, but are they talking about? Oh, so yeah, they were talking about evolutionarily oldest brain regions, not the age of the person.
Correct, but that didn't make sense to me because as far as I know, they don't have brains of previous versions of humans, right? They might have skulls or other indicators.
I don't know. Maybe they can figure out like other people who have donated their brain, which I can't do. Got to have one to donate it. So maybe other people have donated it, and they're going to do the same thing, and they'll be able to determine if the density is based on age.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
You'd think we'd know that by now, because you can grab a mitochondria without having to wait for a person to meet their demise.
Right, but you probably can't get one in their brain.
Sure. You can just take a little sample.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Delete somebody's 9.
Oh, well, now you can't smell or whatever.
Exactly. So okay, sir, could you count to 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10.
Oh, they got the 7 section.
You know how hard it is to count to 10 without, like, you have to say every single number and consciously stop yourself?
You mean like to do it intentionally incorrect?
Incorrect, yeah.
Yeah, probably not very easy.
It's pretty tough. Let me tell you, as a person who just did it, I had to slow down for a split second. My brain really wanted to say 7.
Fill in missing information.
Yeah, to make it seamless. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. How wiggly skulls. Yes. How wiggly skulls helped birds evolve from their dinosaur ancestors. And I think it's one of those things where the birds' like brains aren't fused all together at the same time, and so I guess it helps them evolve. But let's see what they say. 3D modeling reveals that as birds' brains grew larger, it led to changes in jaw muscles and joint mechanics, enabling the development of more flexible and efficient feeding system in modern birds. Modern birds are the closest living relatives of dinosaurs, like the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Exactly.
It's just a given, I guess. So, as time has gone on, they've evolved to facilitate feeding in the most efficient way. I mean, this is evolutionary steps from dinosaur to modern bird. So
True, but there must be something about its structure that helped facilitate this.
Yeah. So Matt Wood over at University of Chicago put this article together. And it says here that still birds differ from their reptilian ancestors in several key ways. One major evolutionary shift was the development of larger brains, which led to significant changes in skull size. And so now researchers from University of Chicago and University of Missouri reveal that the changes influenced the way that birds move and use their beaks, mechanical adaptations that help them thrive in diverse environments and evolve into the wide variety of bird species we see today. So it's survival of the fittest. So the ones that were less efficient at consuming this way would die off, or the least efficient would die off.
Right, or the ones that couldn't
eat or drink.
Their structures wouldn't allow them to adapt.
Right. Yep. So Alec Wilkin, a graduate student in integrative biology at University of Chicago, and the lead author of the new study, calls this kind of flexible skull wiggly. He says that this characteristic makes it that much harder to figure out how the pieces work together. So modern birds, as well as other mammals like snakes and fishes. That says fishes. Anyway.
Okay, I'm still going with fish.
Yeah, like Twitter. It's always going to be Twitter. It's the hill I'll die on. Anyway, they have skulls and jaws and palates that aren't rigid and fixed in place like those in mammals, turtles, or non-avian dinosaurs. So just because you have a joint there doesn't mean that you know how it moves, Wilkins said. So you have to think about how the muscles are going to be pulling on that joint, what kind of torque they have, and other joints in the head limit the mobility. So they joined a project in 2015 when he was an undergraduate at the University of Missouri, received a grant from the National Science Foundation. Good luck. Sorry, too soon? Okay. Anyway, to study how the skulls, jaw muscles, and feeding mechanics changed along the transition of dinosaurs to birds, and Wilkin joined his lab to help. So pretty cool.
The
team analyzed a bunch of 3D models, and they saw that as the brain and skull sizes increased in non-avian theropod dinosaurs, muscles shifted into different positions that allowed the palate to separate and become mobile. And these changes in turn released muscle force, which powers cranial kinesis in most modern day birds. So, yeah, allowed them to move their head.
Right, which could be important if you're flying.
I still don't know how it always makes me ask more questions. Like, how do you go from, a dinosaur skull to knowing that there's muscles? Because what?
Right, I know. Like, we seem to be missing some of the information.
Yeah. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today as well. Scientists just captured the stunning process that shapes chromosomes. Scientists at EMBL have captured how human chromosomes fold into their signature rod shape during cell division using a groundbreaking method called loop trace. By observing overlapping DNA loops forming in high resolution, they revealed the large loops form first, followed by nested smaller loops, and repelling each other into compact structures. All repelling each other into compact structures. How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's pretty amazing. So EMBL, or the European Molecular Biology Laboratory, put the article together. It's posted over at scitechdaily.com. So yeah, I guess it just kind of twists around itself and bundles up really tight. In humans, it means carefully packaging 46 chromosomes and distributing them equally. Now, for the first time, scientists at EMBL have directly visualized this process in high resolution using a new chromatin tracing technique. And I'm just going to play that video, and I'm going to mute it just in case. So you would have to really zoom in to see this thing doing its thing. And that's all there is to it. Yeah. Easy to see. Right? That makes sense to you?
Like, we don't really...
That all makes sense? You got this?
No, don't have any of it.
Well. So, however, observing how this looping process occurs in the cellular scale and contributes to chromosome structure is challenging, says Andre Brunner, postdoc in EMBL Heidelberg's Ellenberg group and lead author of the new paper. This is because methods for visualizing DNA with high resolution are actually chemically harsh and require higher temperatures, which together disrupt the native structure of DNA. So they came up with a new way to do it. They could use targeted sets of DNA binding labels to observe the nanoscale structures of the uncovered DNA strand, and the technique is called loop trace. Helped researchers directly observe DNA by dividing cells as it progressively formed loops and folds. So now they were able to visualize the structure of chromosomes as they started to change shape. Now they know how DNA was folded by the condensin complexes.
I mean, this seems like a pretty big discovery, because if there's anything regarding damaged DNA, if they better understand how it properly gets replicated, etc.,
yep,
that'll help them treat issues or foresee issues.
Yeah, and maybe they can look at the DNA itself to see where something may be misfolded. So 1 second. Actually, we're going to move on to the next article real quick, if you don't mind. Let's go.
Okay.
So this next article is over in Technology Today. How a tiny direction shift creates chaos in crosswalks. MIT researchers, scientists, found that when people veer more than 13 degrees off course in a crowd, orderly walking breaks down into chaotic dodging. So,
I mean, I guess this is like a salmon swimming upstream or something.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
So that's interesting that they show what looks like that significant intersection. I think it's in Tokyo, if I'm not mistaken. It may not be that one, but it's one where there are just people walking in all directions.
Yeah, I had no choice there. So, yeah, it says what makes a crowd move in smooth, self-organized lanes descend into chaotic weaving. MIT researchers cracked the code using a mix of mathematical modeling and real-life pedestrian experiments. Next time you walk into or through a crowded plaza, crosswalk, or airport, pay attention to the pedestrian flow. Are people flowing in neat, organized lanes toward their destinations, or is it more chaotic with individuals weaving and dodging in all directions? So the instructor, Carol Bacik, I think, Basic, B-A-C-I-K, and his colleagues set out to understand this behavior, and they did this by simulating and then monitoring crosswalks, simulated crowds to reach assigned destinations, and by combining their models with experimental data, the researchers identified a key factor that determines whether pedestrians move in clear lanes or fall into disorganized patterns, and it's called angular spread. So if anybody deviates from destination to destination by more than 13 degrees,
which doesn't seem like a lot.
Yeah, in that angle of that 13 degrees actually matters about the long-term distance too. So
that's true.
13 degrees where you just pivot a little bit and take 10 steps is not going to really matter. But if 13 degrees and you take 1,000 steps, you're going to end up in Toledo, Ohio if you start in
Exactly.
DC. So that factor called angular spread measures how many different directions people are walking in within the crowd. So they say order on one side and disorder on the other side, and it's because people start diverging from the normal path. And that's usually because people aren't walking at the same speed, and so you bump into
That's
people.
true. Well, and I'm sure as it probably kind of creates a chain reaction.
And I would liken this to what goes on a freeway when somebody pumps the brakes. It causes a pulse that follows down traffic until enough gaps are formed where the pulse goes away. So in fact, the researchers calculated the point at which a moving crowd can transition from order to disorder. That point they found was an angular spread of around 13 degrees, meaning that if pedestrians don't walk straight across, but instead an average pedestrian veers off to an angle of larger than 13 degrees, this can tip a crowd into disordered flow. It's possible to be recovered, but they actually have video of this from order to chaos. So I'm going to play that video.
Oh, I kind of see where it went awry on the right, on the disorder one. There was one that was kind of cutting across at a pretty steep angle.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is you can see that right before chaos, this person right here just starts walking off into an angle, and the person in front of them actually pauses for a split second. See that person right there? Right? Just cuts right on through at an angle.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when you look at it again, you can actually see people like pause just for a second. Like, which way do I go?
Right, because they're trying to avoid colliding.
Yeah, and that's
the chaos. That's pretty interesting.
But lines try to form, and this is where it's just hot garbage right here.
Exactly. And I find it interesting that even in the order one, it's not really what people would think of order, right? It's several vertical looking lines.
It's lines,
but they're interspersed. It's not like they're all on the left and all on the right. That's not how it works. But if they kind of stay in straight lines, it can still stay in an orderly fashion.
But the scenario disorder line was, or the disorder side was absolute chaos almost from the beginning. Like this person just walks off that way.
Yeah, I can actually find several people in the disorder scenario that are probably directly responsible.
What are all these people, sleepy people in the back doing? Come on, move it. So it says using fluid physics to model people and real world experiments, put theory to the test. So Basic and his colleagues used equations of fluid flow and applied them to the scenario of pedestrians flowing across a crosswalk. The team tweaked certain parameters in the equation. Oh, I'm so sorry, that snuck up on me. This order largely holds until people start veering across at more extreme angles. Then the equation predicts that the pedestrian flow is likely to be disordered with few to no lanes forming. And really, people want the path of least resistance, just like water would, just like electricity would.
They don't want to take a roundabout, circuitous route.
Yeah, but there's always somebody that just wants...
That's like the sidewalk experiment.
People want to watch the world burn. I don't think they have any other stuff. It's this video up here. So
right,
like I could watch this all day.
Doesn't that make you want to kind of test it in real life? Like if you have a crowd, not like a crowd that's in danger or something, but just if there's a lot of people, doesn't it make you want to cut across just to see if this actually transpires?
If you can cause chaos. Yeah, let's go. In New York, let's go.
Oh no.
All right, let's go on to our last article for Technology Today. This is over in Technology Today. The channel actually exists as Technology Today. It's under Gadgets and Tech. And this is a ghost frog. A Call of Duty ghost frog has been found. No, sorry, it's just a ghost frog. Scientists stumble upon species missing since 1902. See, everything old is new again.
Yes, it is.
The elusive frog alsodes or iosodes. Is that an I?
I can't see it well enough.
Isodes vittatus. I don't know. Has been found after 130 years, emphasizing gaps in knowledge and conservation needs in South American amphibians. Yeah, South American amphibians, you need to track yourself. Report for duty.
Start making some ribbit sounds.
Yeah, got to croak more. Make yourself known, because that's always conducive to keeping a species alive. Make yourself known.
Well, that's true. Maybe you should go silent.
Pensoft Publishers put this article together. It's published over at scitechdaily.com. There's no other byline there. It's not like a person. So, Alsodes, or Alcides, Alcides, I don't know, Alcides vittatus. The team of researchers have rediscovered a frog species that had not been seen in over 130 years, and that's probably because there isn't somebody always out there looking down.
That's true. I mean, has somebody been standing there that whole time?
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I've stood directly next to people, and they didn't realize that I was standing directly next to them. So why would you see a freaking frog?
Right.
Anyway, the researchers found two separate populations of the species in the southeastern area of the historic Hacienda San Ignacio de Pemeju? Anyway, I ruined that. Location of Chile's La Araucanía region. So this rediscovery marks a significant milestone for South American herpetology and highlights the importance of conserving biodiversity in the southern cone. Can't say that anymore.
I still feel like this was a pretty significant period of time where it wasn't located.
Yeah, I mean, well, how many people are actually out there looking for this thing? And look, that's what you're looking. Okay, you're looking for a
and
gray
you might
frog.
be out there, but you're not necessarily looking for the frog. Even if you see it, you're not knowing, oh, I should report this.
That's what it looks like.
Oh, that's pretty distinctive.
Yeah, but is it distinctive in there? Look,
Yeah,
it's a bunch
probably
of
not.
gray rock. Nobody's going to see
Particularly
any of
depending
this.
on what else is going on. You know, if you're running from a terrifying fill in the blank snake or whatever, you might
not
not
Australia.
be like, oh wait, here's this rare frog that I just passed.
Take my chances here. Australia, everything wants to kill you there.
That's true.
So, Alsodes or Alcides vittatus was scientifically described in 1902 by Rodolfo Amando Filippi, a German naturalist living in Chile. French entomologist Philibert Germain had discovered the species in 1893 at the former Hacienda San. Oh my gosh. Anyway, in that region of
Somewhere
Chile,
in the region,
and
yeah.
brought 3 specimens to Filippi for description. Say that again.
I said somewhere in the region.
Yeah, it's a test. Remember. And the main challenge in locating it was the lack of precision in the description of its type locality, say the researchers. In Germain's time, the Hacienda San... Oh, God, they're just killing me. Was in a state of enormous size, and the naturalist did not specify the exact place where he collected the specimens, which is always conducive to relocating
Yeah,
it.
relocating it. Exactly. Oh, wow. It's like, yeah, it was in the region somewhere. I picked it up.
It was right there. Yeah. Well, where is there?
It was on a rock.
Over there. It was in Iraq? No, it was on a rock. A rocket?
Which one?
What kind of a frog is this? Anyway, there they found 2 populations of A. vittatus in the Lolco and Portales river basins in the La Araucanía. Sorry, my brain I'm sick, folks. Confirming the existence of this enigmatic species after more than a century without record. So there they go. It's still there. You just have to go and get it.
Right, but hopefully they better described where it was found this time.
Yeah, I'm
Or it
pretty
might
sure
be
that they
another
brought
100
GPS.
years.
Yeah, I'm sure they brought GPS this time. All right, folks. I need to take a break, but I didn't want to miss any shows, and I didn't want to do another time machine tomorrow and try and make it up, because mayoral duties this coming week are expansive, apparently. But anyway, so we're going to hop on our Ghost Frog and poof on out of here, back to the front page of Technology Today. Boo. Ghost Frog. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Ghost Frog. Can't
Ghost
see
frog
me.
who?
All right. Well, anyway, I am Mayor Watt. I'm getting out of here. I'm taking the AI with me.
Good Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's Technology Today. We still have FourWheeltech ahead. Stay tuned.
Woo. Ghost frog do 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 do. Ghost frog do 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 do. And they would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those darn kids.